Chapter 2 is all about setting up the software. So whether you're using the Windows version or the Mac version, or you've got imperial units or metric units, then I'll just point out where all these things are located within the software. When we look at this Windows screen at the moment, we've got toolbars running across the top, and I've got this toolbar down the side. This is the large tool set, and this is the standard toolbar. Then I've got the location toolbar, and this is the section toolbar. Now I probably don't need these two to start off with, but these are useful, and this is very useful. So to have the same configuration as me, if you go to the View menu and then down to Toolbars, then we load up this toolbar dialog box, and this is where all our toolbars are kept. Okay, I've got the standard, the section, location, and large tool set. I don't need anything else for the moment. There are some options. I've turned off the large icons, but if you've got a higher res screen and you want bigger icons, then that's the one to turn on. Okay, the other thing to point out are these things on the right hand side of the screen. These are the trays or the windows, and they live under the window menu. So we've got the default tray, which I can just hover over and then track down, and I've got extra ones I could turn on and off. Fog, for example, that would appear there, or I can control it by turning it off here. If I want to create different trays or different configurations, instead of turning things on and off each time, then I click on Manage Trays, and if I click on Default Tray at the moment, these are the ones I've got. I can then click on New, create a new tray, and select which ones I want, give it a new name, and I can have a whole host of trays loaded in there if I wanted to. So I'm closing that down. Next, we're going to look at the Preferences. Now on the Windows, it's under Window and Preferences. If you're using the Mac version, you'll find it under SketchUp and Preferences. And these are the templates. So you'll get to see these when you first load the software. It asks you to choose a template. And there's a little tick box on the software that you can, the bottom, it says don't show at startup. I'll be using architectural design millimeters. We'll be configuring this slightly differently later on, but it's a good one to start with. And for imperial users, I would suggest you use the feet and inches architectural design for this as well. And then we've got this icon here, which is model info. It's also for Windows and Mac under Windows and model info. And this gives us options for the units. Okay, lots of other options we've got to play around with, but again, we're just looking at the units for the moment. I'll be using decimal millimeters with a precision of 0. If you want to choose architectural inches, and then choose your precision, so you go down to 1/64 of an inch. Alternatively, you could go decimal inches. So instead of it having the fractions of an inch, you can have the decimal. So 0.5 would be half an inch, for example. Okay, and then you've got the length snapping options and the angle snapping options down here. So I'm back to decimal millimeters. Now we won't really be using dimensions very much in this series because we're going to use a lot of existing geometry to create our things from. But where we are going to be using sort of specific dimensions, then I'll give you the values in millimeters and in feet and inches. Okay, but it'll be feet and fractions of an inch, not decimal inches. So you can stick to architectural units. Okay, now flip over to the Mac, and we have a slightly different setup. This is a screenshot of the Mac. So there are not as many toolbars in the Mac version. So you go into the View, Tool Palettes, and then I've got the large tool set, which is useful. These float, these don't dock. And then we've got the solid tools. This is the Make version, so that is the only one you get. Sandbox, Location, Dynamic Components, and then this Warehouse one. And for these, then they're under the window as before. Okay, so that's pretty much the setup. You can configure this toolbar on the Mac, right click on it, and then choose Customize Toolbar. And it'll give you a big window of all the potential icons that you can then just drag up. So you might just want one from a cluster, and you can drag that up and dock them into this. So that'll get us set up. Then we can look at how to move around the model in the next video.